The Common Agricultural Policy is of critical importance to all the citizens of Europe in regard to food security, in regard to in supporting family farms, to supporting the rural environment. The importance of CAP is becoming more evident to all citizens throughout Europe.
I think the policymakers at the Common Agricultural Policy level should really make a decision whether we're going to go for a productive, self-sustaining, competitive agricultural sector, or we're going to continue subsidizing the status quo.
How we reform the Common Agricultural Policy is crucial to the future of food production in Ireland, of jobs in Ireland, and of the welfare of consumers. So it's in everyone's interest we get this right.
This week, the European Commission will propose changes to how farmers are supported through the Common Agricultural Policy. Will Irish farmers face a drastic cut in their subsidies, and could the rural economy survive it?
In its current form, the Common Agricultural Policy is pivotal to the survival of the agriculture in Ireland, primarily because agriculture in Ireland is one of the biggest dependents on the subsidies from the EU.
Agriculture Commissioner Dacian Cioloș from Romania is the man responsible for reforming the agricultural policy. He is going to have a very big impact on Irish farming.
It's an important sector in terms of employment, in terms of quality of food, in terms economically in general. And this is possible because we have a strong agricultural sector.
Irish farmers have done well out of Europe. Initially, high meat, milk and grain prices helped drive investment and expansion. And more recently, the checks in the post have brought in over €1 billion a year. Because the single farm payment was set on the basis of existing subsidies in 2004, Irish farmers get an average of over €300 a hectare. In Eastern Europe, the average is much lower, with farmers in 12 new countries fighting for a fairer share of the agriculture budget. Ireland's current payment of €1.3 billion is bound to come under pressure.
I think it's very difficult now in 2010 and later in 2014 to explain to our citizens, to our taxpayers, that the level of payment for a farm is based on the level of production 20 years ago. I think it's important to not forget that we are 27 in European Union. The Irish farmers have to use this opportunity to have a larger European market. We have to have a balanced common agricultural policy in all these regions in Europe.
In a larger European Union, we have more farmers in Eastern Europe. They want some of what we have. If the cake doesn't get any bigger, we're going to get a smaller slice of it. I think the crucial thing for Irish farmers is this: how much reduced will that slice be? But secondly, how will markets evolve? If the price of milk and beef and sheep rise significantly and farmers get a decent income from the marketplace, they might not be too upset about the single farm payment reducing slightly. If, on the other hand, we can't guarantee rising market prices to farmers, we have a real problem about farm incomes.
Irish cattle and sheep farmers depend entirely on the single farm payment. But without that check in the post, how many family farms could stay in business? With an average of €9,000 per farm, many Irish farmers rely solely on subsidies from Europe for their income. Father and daughter Roy and Gwen Meredith farm in County Laois.
Farms are at the moment just about breaking even. So every percentage drop in our single farm payment is a percentage drop in our income. So if we get 10% of a drop in the single farm payments, our income goes down by 10%. It's a very worrying time.
I think the single farm payment system is a good system, but I think it needs more continuity. Like, the single farm payment system has only been going since 2005. And for young farmers like myself to try and plan our investments, we need more stability.
When you think of the amount of people that are dependent on the single farm payment, it's not only farmers, the co-op, all the shops, the vets, everybody that's making a living out of farmers.
This is a low profit sector. Yet it's a huge contributor to food exports from this country. And in little rural communities all over Ireland, they are once again becoming more and more dependent on the farming contribution to that community, and it will be vital that those communities are supported, whether that be through their CAP payment or through the less favoured area payments.
There's huge difficulties for our livestock sector to remain economically viable if we were to see a radical reduction in the single farm payment, which is why we cannot allow that to happen.
While the intentions of the Common Agricultural Policy may be good, its effects can lead to higher food costs, more red tape and unforeseen social and environmental consequences. So why not do away with farm subsidies altogether?
So there is not a single objective that the Common Agricultural Policy has set out to achieve that has been achieved. And this is after decades of trying. Sooner or later, you have to recognize that something else needs to be done.
We have a particular need to have a rural environment that is protected through the CAP. The big challenge is, how are we going to reform it to meet all of the demands that are on it? Will it work for farmers? Will it work for consumers? And are we prepared to pay the price for it?
Given the austerity measures that are being faced across the EU, given the tightness of budgets, given the tightness of the public expenditure across the EU, given the fact that this is a long-term perspective, it's not just 1 or 2 years change, sooner or later we're going to arrive at a situation where the voters and the taxpayers in other countries are going to start questioning the validity of those subsidies.
The citizens in Europe are ready to strongly support common agricultural policy, but if this money goes to active farmers. But I think it's not a real problem in Ireland because, as you can see, we have a very active farmers here.
If, as seems likely, Irish farmers lose some of their subsidies after 2013, can the rural economy survive and prosper?
Don't even want to think about worst case scenario because of the catastrophic consequences it would have for all Irish farmers, particularly the dry stock sector.